Last week we got some demos, and we didn't get the ones from the Canadian mafia. And we'll see if do we get them today. Do we have time to see that? Are you ready?
I should be okay. I'm not ready right now, but I can get ready.
Some time. Asma, how do you feel to show us some darkness?
Yeah, maybe at the end.
Yeah?
Yeah.
At the end. Yeah. Always demos at the end. The darkness. Any other demo? Dean is so disappointing. If we don't get our weekly Dean demo, what's the point?
Wow, I think there's probably plenty of demos for everybody else this week to cover that, and exciting ones too.
I do a SQL update then. I saw something before Nick, and I merged it to master this morning. It was in dev, so I can show that. I had to look at the change though to remember what it was. I'm like, what did I do? It was a week ago. I'm so screwed when I'm getting old. So demo status. Orchard 1. What happened? 15th of October, nothing. OrchardCore. OrchardCore, October 27. Here. Is that a lot? As usual, that's a lot. It's good. 27 to 26. So we saw that. Then create module app guide. Oh, we saw that also. Module app guide. Improve, sorry. Authors, comma. Thank you, beautiful. So quick, before the end of the meeting, you fixed what we talked about during the meeting. So instead of adding a comma after every author, now you are using the beautiful feature, which is loop.last. Is that really what you want to do? Oh, I think, okay. I thought you might want to have the space after the comma. Oh, no, that's right. That's perfect. That's exactly. If not loop.last, then that. Okay, beautiful. It's super nice, right? And like maybe that should be like some feature in C#. Like if you're in a for loop, you can do something like that. For.last. And it's taking, it's like a break. Break takes whatever loop you are in. So maybe you could say like for.last, and it will take whatever for loop you are in. It might. That's how to know what's the last one, because it depends. The condition is a con, so you can't know. Okay, stupid. Okay, whatever. But for each might work. So, AdminUI dark mode regressions fixes. Look at that. So many regressions. And I'm sure there will be more later. Content updated to singular. How to create content. Yep, okay. I'm sure French wrote that. I say that because I'm sure it's Antoine who wrote that. Paras, new contributor. Is he added at some point? I don't see him here. ESLint expect triple equal strict equality instead of equality. Okay, sure. Menu example liquid. Okay, fixing tabs here. Okay. NumericField Range get continued. So lots of updates from Steven Spitz. Steven. Maybe not all the harvest, but at least 2 of them, I think. At least in Amsterdam, because they are from Belgium, and it was closed. NumericField Range get continuous update while dragging a slider. So improvements on the NumericField. I think we also saw some of the responsive changes last week. Add a note to localization module docs. Translation files can be provided by a module. In that case, are embedded automatically in the assembly. And as usual, I'm not sure that should be specified. I mean, what does it mean? How do I know there is a bad item group in the project file? It's not really helpful, but that is helpful. That looks no okay. Bump open idict. Okay, that's from Kevin. Add Dojo Library via snippets link. Okay, to the docs. Good. Fixed liquid properties documentation. Properties. Prop name. Prop name one will have worked also. You can use the index syntax when the name contains some chars that are not compatible with liquid, like dash, spaces. Thank you. Beautiful. Just need to read more. Shape add properties. That's also why I don't like shapes. NumericField Spinner replace jQuery with Bootstrap components. Okay. Set liquid page view context if no ambient one. Set liquid page view context. Okay, step for liquid. NumericField range fixed localization. So getting the current culture. The invariant culture. Let me check. So JavaScript decimal separator. So that's okay. But I mean, this is a constant. This won't change. The invariant culture number format number decimal separator is a dot. So what it does, it adds meaning to the dot. And server is like the current culture thing. So that matters when we parse values or when we render values. So what did we do there? Required. So where is it used? Here. Okay, can I use a different view for that? Is there a different view? Okay, at least I have more space here. Perfect. So if JavaScript decimal separator is not the same as the server decimal separator, okay, then replace the JavaScript decimal separator by the server decimal separator. And you hope that it won't be encoded. Value equals replace value. Don't really understand that, because if they are the same value, replacing won't change anything. If they are not, this line will also work. So you can always run that. You don't have to check. It can be that thing directly where this is used. Where is it used? Here. On input, it says replace any dot with the value. So I assume this is because when you type 1.2 and you're in France, for instance, when it's 1,2, on the server side, it will parse using the current culture, which will be French. So if you type 1.2, probably it won't work. So you need to save 1,2 or to send to the server 1,2 so it's parsed correctly. Okay, because I assume you want in the input to type whatever the language is. So 1, 2, and if you don't, it will convert it. Is that the reason? I will just make it invalid, saying it's not a decimal number. You should enter 1, 2 and not 1.2. Okay, and the if is necessary. The text here then becomes unnecessary, and there is no, well, there still can be some encoding issue here. And this is weird because okay, no, it's not, it's just, well, ID value. So it's not altering that, it's just setting the ID to the value. Okay. Well, this code is unnecessary, and I like to understand what it's fixing. I'll check later. NumericField fixed localization, same thing here for the NumericField Slider. JSplumb update, vuedraggable update, install AdminMenu package. So what is that? So this is TypeScript. Install AdminMenu package, what does it mean?
If you go below, there is also a change of TypeScript version.
Okay, that the package is due to that. Okay, so that's TypeScript. What? So
it was missing.
Okay, so it was not building the assets for this one.
Yeah. Dean added a new package.json in this module, but forgot to.
So you are just fixing what Dean does. Thank you. Safeguard for Dean. Fix container part getting welded. 2 widgets. Fix container part. So this is a PR that has the recursivity on the. No. Oh boy. That is good, more dynamic. Edit contained part view model. It's not a new one. I think we talked about that. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I just, as I was doing it, I moved it to a view model from a dynamic shape.
When did we talk about it?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago.
And I think I remember something about types that are missing.
Yeah, the issue we were fixing was that if you have a page which has widgets on it, which is contained inside a list, all of the widgets were getting the container part welded to it as well.
Okay.
So it just was weird.
Fix tab in content localization doc, GraphQL 15.4. So nobody worked on trying hot chocolate to replace GraphQL. NumericField Range. Same issue. Jint 300. Jean-Philippe, can you please file an issue on the Jint repository with what you found?
Okay.
Thank you. Forgot to answer your last comment. But
I created a PR with the failing unit test as well on OC, so you can
yeah,
see it.
right. Okay, thank you. Parse script. Fix for fix for 7436. That's the best title ever. But I assume it's dark mode, right? No. Because you had like colors, like don't use the default, use this one. Seven, 4, 6.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I work on different things this week, so I can't
That's
really
good.
remember.
That's good to forget about what you're doing. That's what I'm doing all the time. Issue 436. Breakup. Yeah, bad. I can't even see that on my screen, honestly. I have a bad screen, which means it's bad. Fix toggle password style in site logging. That's a weird patch. Add support for sending email attachments. Add support. Oh. How does it work? What is it doing? Sending email attachments. So mail message now has mail message attachment, enumerable. Enumerable seems weird here. Let's see. Mail message attachment is a new class. File name and stream. Okay. So that's low level. Okay. SMTP service. Message attachments. Okay, so it's a get set on the enumerable. Okay. So you have to set the, that's weird. Maybe it could have been iList, like I want to add attachments and initialize it to a default collection. Because here you don't know, but you have to pass a full list that is already built or a new list. It's kind of not API friendly, I think. You see, and then you have to check, oh, is there one? And then you can iterate on that. Okay. So ideally, these things, they should be like iList with a getter only, and you initialize it with a list already. So that users will just can't have the reference because there must be something. And you can also add things, so you don't have to set a full list. Okay, so it's just in the API, nothing UI, so that's fine. But if anyone wants to do that, like change that to an iList and just put a getter and do equals new list to initialize it with the existing list. So it's never null, that would be good. Comment git authors and custom theme in docs.
Just on that one,
Yep.
sorry, Sebastian, just on that one, because I did look at that. The stream would have to be, are we all right with wrapping the stream in a class there?
A good question. I mean,
it doesn't dispose of the stream. I checked
yes.
now.
So when you pass a stream, the idea is that you are responsible for closing it and disposing it. Okay. So the one who opens it is responsible for closing it, or at least the one who passes it is responsible for closing it and disposing it. So for me, it's not bad in this case.
Cool. So it's all right to contain it in that mail
Yeah,
message attachment class
but-
because it will still, you'll still dispose of it higher up.
But the idea is that when you call send, then have to close the streams. They will be garbage collected, but ideally you have to do that by yourself. So what would be a better option? There is no better option here because you can't pass a file name or URL name and assume the API here does that for you. So you have to pass a stream. So, and then, but so this guy should open the stream at least. That's way to expect it to be open. But if you pass a stream, I assume it's already open, so that's fine. You just need to close and dispose it from the outside. So whoever has the attachments is supposed to close and dispose the streams. What do we do in, for instance, media, image shop, or even media management? I think we have the store has a.
Yeah, for most of those, we take streams directly rather than a kind of a context type class. So I think it's fine as well.
And you see here, even the MIME-kit API itself, attachments.add, and you pass a file name and a stream. So this is just for the mail message, and this is the thing. So it's just forwarding it. So I think that's okay. And oh, by the way, you see here body.attachments.add. It means attachments is an iList at least, or a list. And they don't expect you to set the list. They just expect you to call add. So this thing should be exactly the same thing. Again, to prove what I just said. And yes, and the stream is passed around, and then whoever calls attachments equal something should also clear the streams once the message has been sent. Mail message attachment. Yeah, another option is also to not expose this class, but just have an add attachment the same way. It's good, you can remove them. Okay, that's fine. I see, so in this case here, attachments, add is not actually a list because it's just a method on this custom collection. Yeah, so no, stream is fine here.
Cool.
Mario JS. So commenting Git authors.
Because the documentation was taking a long time to respond.
Because of that. Ah, that's why. So last week I got a tweet from the committer of the maintainer of Piranha CMS saying the doc was not working, and I checked and it was working for me. And I assumed that it was because we pushed some change on the doc and it was rebuilding it. And then a few hours after I opened the doc and it was super slow to render the first pages. And then after that, the day after, Antoine gets also the report, or so I don't remember how I saw that, maybe on the issues, or and that explains when the page is rendered the first time, this module will take a long time because it will look at the history.
No, I think it was because of the CD and cache Cloudflare, and I reverted the change and it's working normally now.
Well, what's the relationship between Git authors and CD and
I wanted to check because someone raised an issue saying the documentation is taking a long time to respond.
You see the change later when you found out that it was not that,
yeah,
but the cache itself. Okay, so it was an issue with Cloudflare. Thank you for explaining. Fix HTML validation or on features page.
The error was lower. I just improved the ID as well.
It's all the same thing. What is lower?
If you scroll down a bit more.
Well, 1,
Yeah,
2.
so the div CM moved this alert outside of the for loop
Okay.
because it was
And
creating
this
the
is-
alert a lot of time.
And this is just to fix the ID.
Yeah, it was using dot in the ID, and
Okay.
with the selector, it's better with underscore. So
Fix typos in URL. Yeah, too many. We will change Gulpfile. Why did you break that?
I needed to have a source map as a file. It was working that way, but
Okay.
it's breaking. It's breaking other things.
Okay, it's source file. Trust you. Bootstrap. Bumping Bootstrap, and it's called fix Bootstrap regressions. Okay. Fix email validation of unregistered user. Oh. Invalid email. Invalid email, same string. Okay. If email is okay. Okay, fix. Okay, I was confused by the fix. It's improving. Okay. Okay, it's not fixing the validation of the email. We are safe. Because there is nothing to fix. It's just splitting the messages in two different things, like you are missing the email is required, and the email you provided is actually invalid. Okay, and there is the test. Fine. Re-enable authors in doc because Cloudflare is now working again. ShapeStringify regression. And the regression, the fix of the regression introduced a regression we are currently looking at the issues. And the issue is that I need to understand why this fix eventually, what is the regression is trying to fix. I know Jeff find issue. Okay, I have to check, but it's not obvious what we should do. We will find a solution. The question is, what's the best solution? Improve layout of LinkField settings. Okay. Media Anchor Picker and Media Text Editor. What is that? So you removed it.
I moved that bit lower down. The doc's just big. I had to reorganize it all.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And your col-xx argument.
Yeah, that's getting a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But
what is an image? Anchor. What is that?
so it's a point where you
That's the thing.
anchor where your crop would like to be centered.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay.
I moved away from being called centers because somebody commented that if it's a center and it's not in the center of the image, it's just weird.
Who said that?
I showed it to a customer, and they didn't quite get the UI completely when I used that phrase. So,
But I don't get anchor.
well, so anchor it is a term used for these things.
Okay.
So
Just need to
image
get-
sharp, we're using centers and anchor. It could have been a point F as well, but I can't serialize point F with fluid. It doesn't work.
Cropping center.
Well, it's not just cropping as well, because you can apply it to
Ah.
pads and box pads, and
I see.
and it's also not a true crop, because a crop that somebody is used to will crop both sides of things. Whereas this is just a point.
Yeah, so if I read the documentation, I won't understand what it is. Well, I know I've seen your demos and everything, but if it's just reading that, nobody can figure it out, I think. Unless they're super cultivated and they know what anchor is for an image, but yeah. Okay. That's the feature with all the editors and everything. Beautiful. Resize your profile pattern. Go. So you need to do that because you want to support that for this theme.
Didn't really have to do it, but I had it all done for testing. And it just seems sensible to actually show how it was used. They're not cropped differently; they're just cropped in the middle. But you know, you can click on one; it will just change position.
So image path. I said you are. What is image path? That. So maybe at that point, we might need a helper for that. Liquid plus razor. So for the media field, because here you need to get the path first value because it's a list, and then you need to get the end core for first at the same time on the same thing. So maybe we could say at some point we would be able to say the content item, content article, image path, and like even though it's image and then there is multiple path and multiple encores. So maybe we need to have this property and say give me the tag for that.
Yeah, it's quite complex, and it actually gets even more complex in Razor because it's JSON and you have to cast it to something.
I see.
It's always quite difficult to work with, to be honest.
Well, unless we have a helper that takes whatever it is.
Yeah, something to help might actually be quite useful there.
A media field helper, very specifically it's a media field. So this is what can you do with a media field? Do that. It's most common, so we need a helper for that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Use advanced markdown extensions. Okay, so what do we have now? All the advanced extensions. So now we can have the strike through and all the things from Markdown. Good job. Fix localized maps to include all. So I followed that issue, and that's very interesting. So the sitemap was not correctly rendered for localized content. There was something rendered, but it was not complete. Actually, you have to duplicate the lock element for each of the pages, whatever the localization. And for each of them, you have to define all the localized versions. So if you have English, French, Italian, then you need to have 3 entries. And for each entry, you need to also describe the 2 other ones that are localized versions. So good job. So good job on the person who found the issue and explaining the issue and you fixing it. I'm sure the fix was not hard.
No, it was good because this is why I shouldn't do localization work, isn't it?
What it means is that someone was using it and it's working, so that's good.
But that's great.
Good things to fix. Seth is back, removing the hashes. Steven is back, fixing Bootstrap. Plasma is back. Breaking things. What did you break?
It's just a D block that I had there for validations to stack one on top of the other. You have the hint and the validation there.
Good. Thank you for breaking it. Modify front-end links to open a new window. Huh. I'm not a fan of blank because it forces me to open a new window. I just right-click, open a new window, whatever it does, or that's weird. I don't say that. Sometimes I don't expect it to open a new window. Like for, yeah, maybe for instance, phones, tablets, there is no right-click, so maybe nicer to do the right thing. The current feed is available. Where is that? This part. Okay, this is admin. Oh, probably when you're in admin and it points to front end, that would make sense. I see. So admin, yeah, okay. If the link, okay, if the link goes to the front end, that's, I think that's better. Sure. Add CloneContent Permission as content type dynamic permission. So they exist, right, already?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's just okay. And that in that case, I have nothing to say. Toggle dark mode button icon. Okay. Revert because you broke my stuff, Jean-Philippe said. CI testing, but the next version. So there is a PR in Jint from Marco Emma to add Jint engine context isolation, meaning when you have a Jint engine, you can reuse it. So there is a mode now we can freeze the variables and global constructors so that whatever you do in the engine, you can say cancel and release the engine to reuse it on the next request. And that's very important for performance. So that should improve the perf of Jint a lot to be able to reuse the engines instead of creating a new one every time. And not only that, but also reusing a pre-initialized engine when you have lots of scripts to add that you want to reuse over and over. You don't have to reload it again and again for each request.
Will you be adding async await to it as well?
Eventually. So the keywords are there, but super busy. And there is a PR. So if someone wants to work on the PR, how do I start it? Well, someone contributed and started it, and I took over it to make it better. So it's not there, but I encourage anyone to contribute. So where is that? There must be a PR, async await. Like this one. Promise. Yes. So this one, and I assume there are commits from. Okay, so that's this one because I started updating it. So this PR adds the notion of a promise class, okay, which is what it's like a task in C#. And this is what async await manipulates the same way C# manipulates tasks with async await. So async await is there in the language, but there is nothing that implements promise. So this is what is needed, and this is what this PR does. It creates the promise class and enables the unit test. And it was doing it in a way that was working fine, but I'm not happy with fine. It has to follow the spec. So that's why I took over that to implement the missing elements from the spec, but I still haven't found the time to finish it. So if someone wants to continue the PR, feel free to do that. I'm just reading the spec and implementing the concept it's saying. You can find the things you see, then like we continue with in C#. And yeah, so that's what's missing.
Cool. I was actually just asking about the C# task.
Sorry.
Just because we have quite a lot of get away to get result. And,
for that, but, well, that might be also related. After that, we might have to add asynchronous running of Jint operations because it's also supported by the JavaScript in this case.
Cool. Excellent.
Yes.
That's great.
And I think there is another PR actually for that. I think when I type async, you saw that. But not this one, so sorry. That's another question. Still interesting. CI testing across SQL, MySql, and Postgres databases. So the thing I didn't like, you did. Should I hate you for that?
No, I made it good.
So now the unit tests run on all the databases, which is good. It's a pain in the ass for it to build new test, but that's good. Well, you remove that. No, it's not what you remove. Permission context has nothing to do with that.
I just
But
refactored a little bit
yeah.
how it worked, so you could. So at the moment, I've just got it set to run 3 tests: the agency, the blog, and one other one against all the databases, and they're coming soon. So it's not running every single test against all the databases. It's just there to prove that it works at the moment.
Mm-hmm. But Jean-Philippe will be pleased to add that to Cypress and make them obsolete and just test them in functional tests.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's bad. I saw that. I so hate that. Because someone will come and update that. Antoine, I'm sure, already has committed something. We'll update it again and break it. That's weird. So we need to follow that. Will they fix it eventually, or it's just something that they say, well, maybe. You see, it was created in 2018.
I mean, they have found the issues.
Yeah, but
and some of the Microsoft guys have actually been saying how you can fix it, but it just hasn't happened yet. It's actually only an issue in Visual Studio, where the Visual Studio task runner reports them as errors rather than skipped tests. But we wanted that CI to skip properly for everybody.
Yeah, still, if you can't upgrade to the new X unit now because of that, because you will break the test. Visual Studio 1.
Well, you'll just get errors rather than skips. But disappointing to be blocked on something like that.
And we might have to update it if we want to support the new Visual Studio. We'll see. That ships next month or something with the new .NET. Fix the reflex exemption in our level. Going faster, time passes, error 1 creating. When there is no creatable content types, that I saw the issue again. It's a loop. It was a loop. Okay. Right for perf. I query results for result use. New helpers.
Yeah.
Content query results async. What is that?
We have now an iQuery result because we can have a count. So
okay, this is
yeah.
This is the thing with the count. Okay.
Yeah.
Where is the documentation?
Yeah. Right.
Aha! The documentation doesn't exist for anyone. Typo. Okay. Document option and compression, so we merged it. So yesterday, well, someone made it. I'm sure it's not Chantieri. So now message back is back. Failed. so many changes. But there was a PR last week that Chantilly made. What did he do? To gzip the content. If your document implements a specific interface, I think that was it. What I suggested is to use message pack, because there is an option already when you serialize with message pack to also say to compress. Hello, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, my phone connected. And so apparently it's also doing that now, and there are new interfaces, and there are ways for you to say how to serialize to byte array if you want to optimize, if you want to define it, because Material was using JSON.NET because it can serialize anything, but message pack could not serialize everything. So the idea is now let's use message pack, but if there is an issue with a custom document, then we can say this is how to serialize the object and to serialize it. Okay. So that should be better for perf in many ways. Add padding on other inputs and field settings forms. Okay. Default value for AllowMediaText. Okay. Code mirror min 8. Is that a new plugin? No. Just a fix.
I think you reverted that one.
Yeah, we reverted that 5 minutes later.
So I didn't see anything. Good. Quick demos, Jasmine, because Cypress, just unit test, boring. It's exciting for us, but boring for them. So Jasmine, please share and show us some darkness.
Yeah. I think I ask it for control.
No, you don't want to ask for control, you just want to share your screen.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I won't give you control of my machine, even if you ask.
There. You should see GitHub page for now.
It's dark.
Yeah.
Beautiful design. Good job.
I just need to start it. Or not. Yeah. Starting.
We need some music. Some wait room music or elevator music. Next time, we'll prepare that.
Yeah, maybe there's some noise here because they're doing.
No. I'm just saying next time you do a demo, I will put some nothing to do with your elevator. Talking about elevators in general when you have music inside. That's it. Orchard is fast.
Yeah, but now I'm compiling everything, so I was not prepared.
Eventually, I get a new machine also to be able to build Orchard faster.
Yeah, on a laptop, sometimes it takes quite some time.
My laptop is older than yours. My boss said I could get a new laptop because the Excel sheet said that my laptop was from 2017, like 3 years old. And I'm like, that's nice, but my laptop is from 2013. So, so you are wrong. And that's good. I could have had a new laptop years ago if they knew. Good. It's not dark. But
yeah, I need slug. Yeah.
I mean,
Problem with cookies.
What?
Need
Oh,
to
HTTPS?
clean. Yeah.
Still working without HTTPS?
Oh yeah, yeah, because I just click on the HTTP link.
I need to update those benchmarks to see if it's fast, like it used to be.
Yeah, okay, so now for enabling this, I added the setting here, which enables the dark mode admin theme. And it will pick up, if your OS is set on dark mode like mine in Windows 10, I just picked up the dark mode theme, and it automatically applied the dark mode theme. And now there's also different icon there to toggle. So it switched from a sun icon to a moon icon.
What if I can see the moon during the day?
I'm not sure what you mean, but yeah.
What? If you look outside, you
Yeah.
can see the moon sometimes, even when it's not at night, right?
You will need to program something that takes the sun outside and apply the dark mode.
Oh, that's a good
OS,
idea.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So what feature is that? It's not a feature, it's enabled by default in the theme.
If we look at the source code, it's just applied from JavaScript, because
what I mean is that how do I get this setting? Do I have to enable a feature, or is it just part of the theme?
It's part of the theme. The setting is there by default. If your admin theme is not implementing this, then it's not going to work for you. But
okay.
Yeah, we could have some documentation, but it's pretty.
So we still need to go check the box to have that working.
Yeah, I wanted to have this because by default, not everyone will want to have this working, and it's not a temp switcher. It's a dark mode. It should apply itself by itself.
So for everyone in the meeting, what am I missing that will make me not want the feature working? If I can choose which one I want, if it's there. Like when I go to GitHub, or well, I mean, when I use VS Code, I switch to dark theme. I don't enable the feature and then say, okay, now I can switch to dark theme. Why should it be a checkbox and not a feature of the theme? Yeah,
it's something new from CSS. It should have been done through CSS, because since Safari added this.
That's not the question again. I'm just asking about the checkbox. Why is there a checkbox that I can enable and disable in the setting instead of no checkbox? It's always on.
Yeah. I wanted to make a distinction between a dark mode and different boot swatches for the admin themes, because it's quite the same, but you can apply. You could apply a dark mode theme continuously if you would use a boot swatch, and if we would add this functionality on here.
Or maybe I don't understand how a dark theme works, but in my mind, I mean, there's a theme. It's called admin, and there's a button on the top right, and I can switch the theme. And I don't understand why I also need to check a checkbox to have the button on the top right. I don't see what I can break by having the feature, the dark mode feature enabled. Not even the dark mode enabled, but the button on the top right. I mean, if I click on the sun, it's like the old one. You're not breaking anything, so why would not people leave it this way if they are happy with that and just click if they want? I don't understand the double. And it's not a
well,
I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to.
For example, you could have by default, because eventually what I will do is normally it should be part of Bootstrap, and it should be I should not switch from one CSS to the other. It should be part of the admin CSS team.
But it's an implementation detail, and I'm not talking about that. I don't even care if it's a Photoshop image or a CSS or a Bootstrap or whatever. I'm really not talking about how it's done. I'm asking a philosophical question about
if it should be enabled
by a checkbox, or should it be there by default? That's my question. Like today, we have a content item list when we have the content feature. There is not a checkbox to say, oh, you want a link to the content items list, otherwise you don't see the content item list. No, I mean, it's so obvious that I go to the list if I click on the link, and it's there. I don't have to enable a feature to have the content items list.
Well,
there with
I felt like it was more orchardy to add like
checkbox.
Yeah, checkbox, because we do the same thing with the AdminMenu filter, for example, which is not there by default. So it's a question that Dean has asked too, and he asked me if we could have this by default always instead, just by default checking those checkboxes.
Because for me there is already a setting. It's the button on the top right. For the filter, there is nothing. It's there or it's not there. So there is a button. This is a checkbox. But for the dark mode, so maybe we need a third state. Maybe so. Because there are three states. There is always light, always dark, and there is maybe automatic based on the OS. And maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't even know today how to make the automatic. How do I get the automatic mode? Oh, it's picked up the first time you enable.
Yeah, because here, if I go and I clean up my local storage.
I see. So okay. So that's the third. So it's only the first time that will pick up the OS one. Once you click, you store the choice. I see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So maybe there should be a 3-state button rotating like night, day, and then OS automatic or whatever, night and day, like, you know, and by default it's automatic, and then you can select force dark, force light. I don't know.
Yeah, we could have like another option there.
But so I was thinking in the setting, which is for me the button on the top right.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you mean. Or it could be like this checkbox could be use automatic dark mode, and if it's checked, you don't see the button on the top right because you can't choose. It's automatic. Or if you don't choose it, or the other way around, show me the link. Then it shows on the top right, and it's not automatic. It's whatever you choose when you click.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you can leave it there, but I'm just asking why there is a checkbox here.
I just think the checkbox should be turned on by default, and you should, if people desperately don't want to support dark mode, then they can turn it off. But that's
another way. That's another way. If you don't want to see the thing on the top right, then okay, let's disable the checkbox because I don't want to see it.
I'm thinking about people that made their own admin team there also. If they don't implement this thing and they need to implement it, then you need to go on the CSS and.
No, it just means that the feature won't do anything.
Yeah,
the
but
checkbox.
Still, if they want the button to disappear because they don't have it because they made a custom admin team.
They won't. They will just customize. They won't create their own admin theme. They will just copy the existing one and customize some things. But yeah, or they can just put a display none on the thing and done.
Yeah. Sorry for the noise there. My nephews just came back from
all good. All good. Perfect. Yeah. So two voice to have it enabled by default, and maybe if it's too visible, put it in the submenu of admin, like the profile. Like when you drop down, you can select the thing and not as a top icon. You see what happens if you scroll if you click on the admin link at the top right? This one, yeah. So maybe it could be an item there instead of the button on top right. And then, I mean, It's not visible all the time. It's just an option you don't see all the time because you never click on that, right? You select once and then, yeah, done.
Yeah, most of the time this is, yeah. Also, maybe eventually user preference. So
that's a user preference. So that's already there. That could,
yeah.
In the dropdown, you could display the 3 states maybe in one item with the 3 icons, like toggle, 3 toggle things, like light, dark, and automatic. You know, like a 3-button toggles. It's like 3 buttons, one after the other, and then you just can select one, like a radio, and it shows the 3 icons, and it will pick up whatever you selected, which is automatic, off, night, or dark or light, and then.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that.
Might be there. And then you can enable it all the time. They just have to go on the drop-down admin to see these options.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. It looks very cool.
No problem.
I don't remember who wanted that. If it was Antoine or Hicham, for everybody. Perfect. So maybe next week we'll get a demo of Cypress. We've already seen a demo, but we want to see how it looks like now. It's been updated. I hope you don't mind, Jean-Philippe. You have to come back again.
It's good.
And I hope you don't just okay. And I hope you don't just join us for doing the demo. Your kids will miss you, I'm sure, but that's fine. So, okay, all good. So, nothing new. We'll do the next demo next week. Thursday triage, and next week same time. Everyone is on the same time now, the whole time. Thanks everyone. See you next week. Bye bye.